This video is going to be a film study look at yet another Jackson 5. Lamar Jackson threw 5 touchdowns with no interceptions and an extremely high completion percentage against the Giants in the Ravens' 35-14 win on Sunday in Week 15. He's only 27 years old. He turns 28 in 2.5 weeks, something like that. His stats for the season in 2024 are pure insanity. His career numbers are as well. Maybe some would say the 159 career touchdowns in 100 games is low, but if you look at what he's done in the last 2 years in Todd Monken's offense, it's a great pairing. He's one of the best players in the league. I really don't care about the MVP race or ranking or discussion. It's just not something that interests me, but I understand it's other people's jam. He's had 5 touchdown games 6 different times in his career. And this may not seem relevant to break down those numbers just in those 6 contests, but I think it reveals a little something. In those 6 games, of course, 3 of them are from 2019, 103 of 131 passing, so 78% completion percentage. Very efficient in those 5 touchdown performances. It's not like he's throwing the ball 52 times a game to get 5 touchdowns. Efficiency of opportunity as well. 23% of his passes, 30 out of 131, go for touchdowns in those 6 games. And again, I recognize some people will say it's not relevant to break it down in that matter. And the only caveat or comeback I would have is this. In 2019, when we had a historic offense, I believe he had 3 in that season. Maybe it was 2. Now, in the last 17 games played, he's had 5 touchdown performances 3 times. Talking about against Miami in Week 16 last year, and then twice this season. When you look at it from that perspective, the Lamar and Monken pairing is just dynamite. It'd be great if we could keep Todd Monken around for another year with as much of the offensive staff as possible, but depending on how things go in the playoffs, that could obviously impact that. For this season, 34 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. His touchdown percentage leads the league, 8.4%, He had a 9% touchdown percentage in 2019 when he had 36 touchdowns. Nonetheless, this is his biggest game of the year coming up against the Steelers. I felt like it was obligatory to show this film and talk about another Jackson 5, and clearly I've dealt with most of these past concepts prior to this video, so I understand if you say this is repeated content, Coach. It's the clean pocket that continues to strike me. And watching Jalen Hurts operate against the Steelers last week, both pre and post TJ Watt being injured, this is a huge dynamic against the Steelers coming up this week. Am I saying that we should look for him to throw for 5 touchdowns against the Steelers? Well, no. Everything's going to be contested. It's going to be chippy, and they're going to grab and hold on defense. Rightfully so. That's what defenses should do at times to try to impede your progress. I would love to see us spread the ball around to multiple guys against the Steelers team and not be so reliant on certain players like Mark Andrews and or Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. We have complementary pieces that can get things done. What I love about this play is the design of it. I mentioned this a little bit in the video I did on our offense earlier Tuesday morning. Mark Andrews is kind of stuttering here, essentially trying to pick this defender who goes underneath. And Isaiah Simmons is checking, confirming that his teammate, that defensive back, was able to go with likely. And unfortunately for him, the margin for error against Lamar this year and last year as well is just too small. As an aside, to compare his stats this year, his efficiency with last season, I think last year Lamar's touchdown percentage rate was 5.3%. 8.4% this year. He won MVP last season, finished it off with the 5 touchdown game against Miami, like I mentioned. To have him increase some of his stats, completion percentage and touchdown percent, just tells you that those guys are really absolutely rolling when Lamar gets time. And they're introducing new concepts. This 4-2 aside isn't new for the NFL, but it's new for us. I have it listed as Chiefs-esque. Anything where the running back lines up to one side, in this case to the boundary, and releases to the field, it does things to the coverage. And watch how these guys react. It's not saying there's anything wrong to them. They're kind of forced to react in that way with the preponderance or usage of half-field coverages being so overweighted now, whereby teams are making half-field call on one side that's independent of the coverage on the other. When you make a half-field call with the back away from you and then he releases to your side, that can override or supersede what you're actually responsible or supposed to do. Now, this ends up being inconsequential for the concept. Rashad Bateman has nothing to do with the inside linebacker, but it puts people in conflict. And you kind of see A great example of it here from the end zone angle. We're talking about Lamar in the video. He's being set up to succeed. Todd Monken is doing a great job designing things. I don't think this is a loss by Andrews. For me, I don't expect him to win against a starting caliber edge defender. But watch the reaction that you get from the inside linebackers. One of them has to cover Justice Hill. And then, so now you've got this isolated nature of the second inside linebacker recovering. And 41 played a nice game the other day, if you ask me. Anything that offers horizontal stretch of the defense that doesn't involve Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, puts us in great position to succeed, to gain yards, to be productive on offense, regardless of who we're going against. That horizontal stretch of the defense, I'm talking about post-snap, not a spread alignment. That horizontal stretch of the defense, I think, is incredibly important. Bateman's touchdown, I've covered this in 2 different videos, so forgive me for that. We've got Likely coming down here. Same exact route that he ran earlier in the game. What I love about the design element is that Flowers is the third part here. So Likely, Bateman is 1 and 2 or 2 and 1, however you want to determine that Lamar is reading it. You've got 3 here. Andrews, in my opinion, not really a part of the read. So we're talking about 4 to a side, really 1, 2, 3, not in that order from a read perspective. Andrews is the 4th guy in number only, not in option. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. Lamar's got a great understanding of what they're doing, clearly. This throw to Bateman was, well, first of all, it's fun to watch Bateman succeed. It feels great that the front office and him were able to come to a decision in the preseason training camp, I should say, and get him signed up, locked up to 3 more years. I know that the 4th year is really year 1 there, so it's only, I guess, 2 actual seasons. For Lamar to have consistency, Andrews signed, Flowers on a rookie contract, Bateman signed for longer. Hopefully that's enough bait, enough justification for Todd Monken to want to stick around. I enjoy watching his offense, and it's been tremendously successful. I'm just not sure that NFL teams, organizations look at him as a head coach guy, and that really isn't fun to say. I just don't know that Todd Monken is a guy that teams are going to look and say, we want to bring him in as a head coach who's going to run the offense. I'm not saying that he can't do it. I'm not saying he can't be successful. Clearly, my opinion, my perspective there is skewed because I want him to stick around. I want him to stick around to be Lamar's offensive coordinator so that they can get a 3rd year in this scheme no matter how the playoffs finish off. Hopefully I said it in a way that makes sense. Feel free to let me know what you think of that thought in the comment section. So an element of this fake pitch play is it's a little bit of an evolution adaptation. I talked about it in the Des Walker video. You've got Flowers running across the safety's face so he can see it. I think it's designed to pull him. And then Des Walker running up the right seam, the right hash, outside the hash, I guess we would call it the hash, even if it's up the top of the numbers. Lamar kind of pump faked to Zay to hold that safety, if you ask me. He looks here initially and then brings the safety back with a pump fake, manipulates him twice, if you ask me, almost like one pump fake and then a head fake back to Zay, brings it back to Walker. Beautiful concept. I mean, it's almost a cheat code. I feel like the Ravens could put any player here, Tylan Wallace, Rashad Bateman, Devontae Walker, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, and get them a touchdown. Down in the red zone, the high red zone in this case, the ball's on the 21-yard line. The only team that I have seen identify it and do anything about it is the Texans last year in the playoffs. You do have Ronnie Stanley over on the unbalanced side, our right-hand side, and then Pat Ricard is the eligible tight end back on the left. Technically, he's the second man outside of the center to the left, but he's still an eligible player, so he's a tight end. Fake pitch to Henry is going to draw gravity, and look at what we've got. These are singular plays. It's not that we don't run the ball out of bunch right A. We do. Gus Edwards had a touchdown last year against the Lions, week 7 at home, close down to the goal line. But we're not going to run that here. This is a 3rd and 1, though, so the play call, the timing of the play call is important. This isn't a 1st and 10. This is a 3rd and 1 where maybe we're trying to pick up the first down and keep the sticks moving. So whatever Monken's play call script looks like, the short yardage element of it has, hey, it's got to have a section that's, hey, let's just get the first down and let's keep the drive going no matter where we are. But now here I think we've got a supplementary portion of it, meaning let's try to score because we're in the high red zone, because we've got two parameters that we can check off. Short yardage, number one. Number two, high red zone, so an opportunity to score on this particular concept. So I really love what we're using. Look, Likely has a touchdown from his rookie year on it. I think he has another catch where he didn't score on from his rookie season on that concept, but I could be wrong. Andrews has caught that one multiple times. Zay Flowers had a touchdown last year against the Niners. If you're interested, I did a film study video on that concept alone that I put out Monday. That essentially was labeled Devontae Walker Film Study. Check that out if you wish. And then finally, his last one is a late release by Justice Hill out of 12 personnel. Ball's in the middle of the field, which is not normally in the middle of the field in any level of football, and you can see kind of a snag or short concept, a space concept up here by these guys. Space is you get a snag route and then someone out into the flats, and then additional to that, the third guy here could fit in between them if the snag is really angled. And so what I mean is if the snag brings you into the hash, and then this route by Likely goes into the flats, then theoretically the third portion there could be a pseudo snag, and you could stress the defense horizontally. That's not how it works out here in this case, because Andrews is 3 and he stays 3. So this was 3 pre-snap. This was 2 pre-snap, was 1 pre-snap until Likely motioned over. So he shoots out into the flats. So from that standpoint, it's a typical version of space. You can have cross space. Lamar did glance there initially. You can see the safety is eyeing Andrews. And people do that all the time when Andrews is the number 3 receiver from one side. Lamar, great job of picking it up, meaning seeing that Justice Hill is wide open. I mean, too easy. Yes, the Giants defense was compromised. You still have to go out there and execute these things. To have a 5-touchdown game, and look, Andrews is breaking open, but there's pressure in front of Lamar, so there's really no opportunity for him to get the ball out there. To have 5 touchdowns in any game, remarkable. Not many quarterbacks have been able to do it. Now, you can go back and you can look and see how many times a quarterback has thrown for 5 TDs. I thought this was incomplete at first. I was worried that it was going to be overturned. And it has happened many times. But the cross-section of what Lamar has done, the way that he's done it, 5 touchdown passes, incredibly high completion percentage. He's got games of 17 of 22. I think the one against the Dolphins was 15 of 18. I could be wrong, somewhere in that range. And to have no interceptions. Go look at the 5 touchdown games. I took a look at like 8 of them from different quarterbacks. Some of them names you would not know. And oftentimes you're talking about 45, 50 throws, a couple of interceptions to get it done. Perhaps a team is down. For example, look at Jared Goff's 5 touchdown game against the Bills, which I've actually completed a film study video on already. It's impressive in a different way. Their run game was completely shut down by the Buffalo Bills defense. Shocking, right? For the way that we ran the ball on the Bills. So Jared Goff was put in a situation where they knew he was throwing the football. And I believe he threw it 59 times to get those 5 touchdowns. That both makes my point in that Lamar's manner, his pathway of getting these Jackson 5s is extremely anomalous compared to probably 90% of the ways that other quarterbacks have been able to throw 5 touchdowns in a game, in that it's a low number of attempts, it's a high-level completion percentage, and an extremely high touchdown percentage to overall throws. Like I said, if you take these 6 games that he's had in his career, 5 touchdown passes, 6 different times with 0 interceptions, you're talking about 23% touchdown percentage on 131 throws. I think that is a statistical anomaly that I didn't expect. I knew that he had done this 5 times, and someone in our Discord, they confirmed for me that it was actually 6 times. To have thrown 30 touchdowns in 131 attempts across 6 different games just tells you the ceiling for Lamar is ridiculous. And when he's playing in a scheme that's rolling and given time in the pocket to execute, he can get things done. We need some of this, not all, to beat the Steelers on Saturday. I've already started my Steelers film study, particularly from their games since we have played them, because I wanted to see what their offense was able to accomplish after our defense was able to hold them down, and have some good news and some bad news that I'll put out in video form, hopefully Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday evening. Appreciate you guys' time. If you enjoyed the film study look at Lamar's 5-touchdown game against the Giants, please let me know in the comment section. If you're not aware, likes and comments really drive the engagement, help push the video out to larger audiences. So if you want to see my content improve or gain a larger audience, please consider liking and commenting to help it do so. And finally, if you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this film study look at Lamar's Week 15 performance against the Giants, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.